The Rock disrupts Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa, the best and worst of WWE SmackDown. Bad news for Dominik Mysterio and Liv Morgan. A former Universal Champion suffers a shocking defeat. Drew McIntyre is in trouble. A fan outrageously slaps a top wrestler. CM Punk spoils WWE Saturday Night's main event. Unfortunate news on Solo Sikoa after SmackDown. Let's dive right in. The best and worst of WWE SmackDown. SmackDown's final episode before WWE's Saturday Night's main event solidified some matches for the show. It also set the stage for some future blockbuster showdowns. Michin defeated Tiffany Stratton to advance to the finals of the Women's United States title tournament. Chelsea Green joined her after beating Bayley in the last match of the night. WWE sprinkled in several good promos, including another layer in the fantastic transition of Shinsuke Nakamura's new character. However, a few hit differently than others. What fell short and what hit the bullseye? Here's the best and worst for the final SmackDown before Saturday Night's main event. Number 1. Best. History comes back to haunt Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso kicked off SmackDown by walking to the ring with a crutch. He stated his intentions to stand alone when he was healthy, but praised both bloodlines. The whole idea of moving on seems logical in most stars' minds after picking up a big or emotional win. When you've screwed numerous people in the recent past, however, moving on is harder to do. Jimmy learned this when Drew McIntyre blasted him with a claymore as soon as he finished talking. Commentators will likely call McIntyre petty or delusional, but Jimmy and Jay essentially got a pass for everything they did under Roman Reigns. History matters regardless of what WWE wants people to think about a star. Number 2. Best. DIY's heel turn explained on SmackDown. After regaining the WWE Tag Team titles on last week's SmackDown, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano cut a black and white pre-taped promo explaining their actions. The words acted as their de facto heel turn manifesto. Their reasoning has sprinkles of logic behind it, so it's hard to completely disagree with some of the thinking. Johnny Wrestling explained how DIY was cheated out of the tag titles in front of his son, but nothing was done to truly address it. They had to jump through hoops to earn another shot. Ciampa and Gargano explained they did what they had to do to win them back, especially since the Motor City Machine Guns got an opportunity in their first few matches. Alex Shelley said he got it, but that Gargano will learn why he's still the student next week. Number 3. Worst. Strange dynamics and a botched finish between Stratton and Michin. Introducing the Women's United States Championship was a huge deal. It gives the rest of the women's roster on SmackDown a chance at winning a singles title. Before that, some stars never had a realistic chance at singles glory. The dynamics between Tiffany Stratton and Michin didn't help their semi-final match. The crowd was supposed to cheer for Michin since she was the face. The action was fine for the most part, but didn't land as it should have. Stratton's popularity also had the crowd split down the middle for the match, hurting the eventual moment when Michin won. The finishing sequence was botched, worsening the impact. Number 4. Best and worst. Braun Strowman is on SmackDown, but squashes a future star. Braun Strowman returned to the blue brand as Carmelo Hayes' mystery opponent tonight. All of Melo's big talk couldn't save him from getting squashed by the monster of all monsters in just a minute and a half. It is nice to see Strowman back in the ring, but the quick squash hurt Hayes' credibility. He went from hanging with Cody Rhodes in the main event 1 week to losing in under 2 minutes. A silver lining was that Pretty Deadly still exists, and attempted to recruit the former Universal Champ for Pretty Deadly, the musical. Strowman rejected a prominent spot in the likely Broadway phenomenon, but agreed to appear on the Grayson Waller effect on next week's SmackDown. Number 5. Best. LA Knight versus the new Bloodline could be SmackDown's new top feud. After falling victim to an unhappy Bloodline on last week's SmackDown, LA Knight cut a fiery promo targeting both groups. He stated that the Bloodline drama wasn't his business, but it entered his peripheral when they randomly attacked him last week. The megastar showed no love for Roman Reigns or Sikoa, since they both cost him a chance to win the undisputed WWE title last year. He did give a yeet to Jey Uso. Before their match, Knight prevented Solo from complaining more and answering the challenge of tribal combat. The situation shows that one's actions affect the roster, whether they follow you or not. Ending the match via disqualification was a good move too. It protects both men since Knight lost the US title just recently. Sikoa cannot lose a big match before facing Reigns. It was a shame that Andrade and Apollo Crews got a big boost, but fell instantly when trying to help Knight. Number 6. Worst. Undermining a huge moment for a new title. Both women's matches didn't deliver on the final SmackDown. Part of that was due to the dynamics in each showdown. Bayley should have been the clear fan favorite, but Chelsea Green's heel work is so good, it's hard to root against her. The Hartford crowd seemed dead for the majority of the contest. but awoke toward the finish. With little heat, WWE felt the need to cut to a 15-second spot for Mufasa, the Lion King, during the actual match. The title is supposed to be a prestigious opportunity, but the latest booking decisions felt disjointed and misguided. The movie spot could have been done during the Solo night battle since some of it occurred outside the ring. The referee also made one of the fastest 10 counts when Bayley tried to re-enter the ring. Number 7. Best and worst. Roman Reigns lays out a challenge but doesn't appear. Solo Sikoa rampaged on last week's SmackDown after losing at War Games. He still claimed to be the tribal chief. Roman Reigns didn't appear last week and wasn't live again this week either. Instead, he got to cut another cinematic pre-taped segment reserved for WWE's top stars. In the message, Reigns claimed losing the Ula Fala was more important than losing the Bloodline, undisputed WWE title, or the Wiseman. Essentially, having the necklace that lets him control the family is more important than the actual members of it. Reigns then challenged Sikoa to tribal combat on Raw's Netflix debut. WWE even tried to pull at heartstrings by mentioning that his late father and uncle bestowed the necklace on him. He was actually given it after winning an interference-filled tribal combat match against Jey Uso at SummerSlam 2022. Number 8. Best. Owens and Rhodes shut Michael Cole up. The narrative around Kevin Owens attacking Cody Rhodes is he's upset that everyone gives Rhodes and Reigns a pass. Reigns and the Bloodline tormented many stars over the last 4 years, and the American Nightmare had no problem teaming up with him. When Owens tried to explain himself, he was either banned from the building or called delusional, a hypocrite for having feelings counter to Rhodes and Reigns. Before Cole could repeat those words, he badly joked about not doing the interview in the car, like last week. Owens then cut him off. The prizefighter rightfully called Cole out for claiming to be an unbiased journalist last week before ignoring everything he said. Owens' logic gained more steam after Triple H gave Rhodes a gift he could only use at Saturday night's main event. Will Owens get a special gift for the show? Owens' promo was great as usual, claiming Rhodes was more interesting as Stardust, while wearing a Stardust shirt. He also barked that the champ is just as bad a friend as he is a son or brother. Before Cole could play the fanboy for Rhodes, the enemies threw fists to end SmackDown. Bad news for Dominik Mysterio and Liv Morgan. The Judgment Day has been on shaky ground recently, especially with Dominik Mysterio and Finn Balor not being on the same page. It seems like the group is somewhat divided. Liv Morgan is dating Dirty Dom, so she is completely on his side, which means Raquel Rodriguez is as well. Meanwhile, JD McDonough is Balor's close friend and will seemingly remain loyal to the Prince. The two currently hold the World Tag Team Championship as well on Monday Night Raw. Meanwhile, Carlito is just there to hang out in the clubhouse. Finn Balor is straying away from the Judgment Day's message of there being no leaders, with him recently adopting the role for himself. McDonough is on board with this, while Liv Morgan and Dominik Mysterio aren't too pleased. Balor's tag team partner even gave the group a new name which may cause some tension. The current World Tag Team Champions collaborated on an Instagram post that saw JD McDonough coin the term Judgment Bray. Both he and Finn Balor are from Bray, Ireland, so the name has a personalized touch and views them as the leading forces of the group. While Dominik Mysterio has liked the post on Instagram, it remains to be seen how he really feels about the entire situation. He has previously hinted at leaving the Judgment Day. Finn Balor is set to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship at Saturday night's main event, facing Gunther and Damian Priest in a triple threat match. Dominik Mysterio could easily get involved, where he could either help his teammate or hinder him. Dirty Dom costing Balor the world title could be the final straw, with Dominik getting kicked out of the Judgment Day as soon as next Monday's episode of Raw. It will be interesting to see if Liv Morgan would follow Mysterio out of the group. However, for now, the Women's World Champion will be focused on defending her title. Morgan is set to face Sky at Saturday night's main event, while Rhea Ripley is waiting in the wings. A former Universal Champion suffers a shocking defeat. Braun Strowman made a triumphant return during the latest episode of WWE SmackDown, where he was revealed as the mystery opponent for Carmelo Hayes. Strowman secured a dominating victory with a running power slam on Hayes. Later backstage, the Monster Among Men was confronted by Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Waller invited him to appear on his talk show, The Grayson Waller Effect, next week. The December 20th episode of SmackDown was taped immediately following this week's show. Braun Strowman ended up suffering a shocking defeat on the taped episode. Strowman appeared on The Grayson Waller Effect wearing a Santa Claus-inspired outfit, fitting for the Christmas season. However, the talk show was soon interrupted by Carmelo Hayes. The former NXT champion cut a promo on Strowman, even calling him a big, ugly, dumb Santa Claus bee. Hayes then challenged the former WWE Universal Champion to a rematch, which Strowman accepted. In a shocking turn of events, Hayes managed to defeat the 385-pound star, evening the score between the two. It remains to be seen what is next for the two stars on SmackDown. Drew McIntyre is in trouble. Nick Aldis was left seething after Raw superstar Drew McIntyre appeared on WWE SmackDown this week and attacked a member of the Bloodline in an unexpected appearance. The star was berated and sent to his office. To say that Nick Aldis was unhappy would be understating it. The SmackDown general manager was seething as he dragged Drew McIntyre to the back, berating him the entire way there, talking to him about how he had crossed a line. Before he could continue, he was interrupted by Bianca Belair and Naomi about the injury and absence of Jade Cargill. He had called Drew McIntyre to SmackDown for a meeting so that they could talk about the star, making the move to the blue brand from Raw during the transfer window. We know each other a long time, but you can't pull stuff like this. The amount of paperwork, all this stuff is a giant headache, and it's all because of you. Go in my office, please. McIntyre didn't take it seriously at all, giving a faux salute before heading into the office while Aldis spoke with Belair and Naomi. Given that McIntyre broke the rules by attacking Jimmy Uso while being a Raw star, it remains to be seen whether Aldis goes through with the transfer. A fan outrageously slaps a top wrestler. For a fan to attack a wrestler during a show is a huge breach of etiquette. That didn't stop a fan from doing exactly that this week, though, and for his trouble, he ended up getting hit instead. At TNA Final Resolution, Eddie Edwards was teaming with Brian Myers in a championship match against Matt and Jeff Hardy. During the match, Edwards was outside confronting a fan who seemed to be shouting abuse at him. When Edwards got in his face, the fan threw a light slap at Edwards and it made contact. Eddie Edwards is not the sort of wrestler you want to mess with. More than capable of defending himself, Edwards didn't waste a second before slapping the fan back across the face while he looked on stunned by what happened. The fan was shaken and almost fell, trying to smile and play it off like nothing had happened. The referees present at the ringside area also wasted no time in calling for security to eject the fan from the arena. Whether this was part of the show or not remains to be seen, but it was played off like it was a real incident. CM Punk spoils WWE Saturday Night's main event. CM Punk may have just teased a huge role for Saturday night's main event. The star may have just spoiled a surprise. CM Punk was at his usual place of word, CFFC, and was in the commentary booth for the show. The event was at Atlantic City, approximately 3 hours from Long Island. With Saturday night's main event taking place there is a chance that he can be at the show if required. On top of that, the star teased being part of Saturday night's main event as a commentator partner for Jesse the Body Ventura. I gotta get this out of my system. I might be doing commentary with Jesse the Body Ventura tomorrow night at Saturday night's main event. I gotta relax. Earlier in the night, he was also teased as taking over Netflix. My name is John Morgan, and look who I found. Before he takes over Netflix, he's taking over UFC Fight Pass. It's CM Punk. It was also Punk's last CFFC show of the year, so the next time fans see him, he will be part of the WWE Netflix show. Fans will have to wait and see if he joins Jesse Ventura for Saturday night's main event. Unfortunate news on Solo Sikoa after SmackDown. While Solo Sikoa gears up for a huge match against Roman Reigns at Raw's Netflix debut, he set an unfortunate record on this week's SmackDown. The new Bloodline leader's disqualification loss to LA Knight on the show marked his 20th straight loss to the megastar in WWE, with 0 wins to his name. LA Knight has become the Bloodline's latest target after the stable attacked him last week. This resulted in a match between Knight and Sikoa on the latest SmackDown. Just when the bout was picking up steam, all hell broke loose when other members of Bloodline began interfering. After Jacob Fatu attacked the megastar, the match was called off, with Knight winning via DQ. Following it, Sikoa and his stablemates unleashed a brutal beatdown of the former United States champion. While the 31-year-old star stood tall in the ring, he set an embarrassing record after his loss to LA Knight. Solo Sikoa is now 0-20 in singles competition with Knight, having failed to defeat the latter even once. The Bloodline leader has a similarly poor record against Cody Rhodes, too, whom he has lost to 20 times without registering a single win. Though Sikoa and Reigns are SmackDown names, they would be carrying their feud over to the Red brand when the show debuts on the global streaming platform Netflix on January 6, 2025. The two performers will go to war in a match that could potentially be the final chapter of their months-long heated feud. At this point, the original Tribal Chief seems to be the favorite, as he has plenty of momentum after pinning Solo Sikoa during the War Games match at Survivor Series 2024. Moreover, Sikoa has been reeling from suffering losses in recent months in several marquee matches. However, the upcoming contest is sure to be filled with outside shenanigans coming into play that could work in Sikoa's favor. Considering just how consistently entertaining and unpredictable the Bloodline saga has been, WWE might have another twist planned come January 6th. The Rock disrupts Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa. Reigns had the Usos, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk behind him in his team's win at Survivor Series, War Games. Now, he will have to fight his battles alone, as the OG Bloodline has gone its separate ways again. Meanwhile, Solo Sikoa still has his Bloodline with him. However, Roman Reigns wants him to leave his men aside and come out to battle on his own in a tribal combat bout. WWE fans can still expect some other members outside the Bloodline teams to show up during the contest. The Raw Netflix premiere could bring out some big names. John Cena could show up to hype the fans and possibly get into his first rivalry in his retirement tour. Meanwhile, fans will be hoping for The Rock to appear once again after he did so at Bad Blood. He could show up during the tribal combat match between Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa at the show. The Great One could pick sides and possibly help Reigns' former enforcer pick up the win. The angle will allow him to remain a heel and possibly ignite a rivalry between him and Roman Reigns heading into WrestleMania 41. The Rock's appearance during the tribal combat match will build a lot more heat around the storyline involving the Bloodline. It would also cushion Roman Reigns' loss and allow him to retain his credibility.